The Jesus we see in many churches today, if not most, is very different from what he actually looked like.
Something extraordinary just happened in the intersection of artificial intelligence and ancient history. Elon Musk's GROK AI was given access to archaeological databases, historical records, and ancient texts spanning 2 millennia. The task was simple. Analyze the evidence for the historical existence of Jesus Christ using only verifiable data. No religious bias, no theological agenda, just raw facts. What GROK discovered has sent shockwaves through both skeptical and religious communities alike. The AI didn't just find evidence. It uncovered 9 pieces of proof so compelling that even the most hardened critics are struggling to maintain their denials. And here's what makes this so powerful. These aren't arguments from faith. These are physical objects you can touch, inscriptions you can read, and testimonies from people who had every reason to deny Jesus ever walked the earth, yet couldn't. Over the next several minutes, we're going to walk through each piece of evidence exactly as GROK analyzed it. No speculation, no assumptions. Just 9 archaeological and historical proofs that a man named Jesus of Nazareth lived, died, and changed the course of human history forever. But we need to start with the question that started everything. Why does this even matter? Why the question of Jesus' existence won't go away? Here's something fascinating about modern culture. We'll accept almost any historical claim without question. Nobody doubts that Julius Caesar existed, even though we have far less evidence for him than we do for Jesus. Nobody questions whether Socrates was real, even though he never wrote a single word, and we only know about him through others. Yet when it comes to Jesus, skepticism becomes almost religious in its intensity. Why is that? Why does the question of whether Jesus existed generate more debate, more denial, and more controversy than any other figure in ancient history? GROK's analysis suggests something interesting. The resistance to Jesus' existence isn't really about evidence. It's about implications. Because if Jesus existed, if he really walked the streets of Jerusalem, if he really was crucified under Pontius Pilate, if he really founded a movement that transformed the world, then we have to deal with his claims. We have to answer his questions. We have to decide what we think about a man who said things no mere teacher would ever say. But let's set that aside for now. Let's just look at what GROK found when it analyzed the data with no agenda other than discovering what actually happened 2,000 years ago. Proof number 1. The James ossuary, the brother nobody could deny. GROK's first discovery takes us to a limestone box discovered in 2002 that caused an absolute earthquake in the archaeological world. To understand why this matters, you need to know about first-century Jewish burial customs. Between approximately 20 and 70 AD, Jews in Jerusalem followed a very specific practice. They didn't leave bodies buried permanently. After about a year, once only the bones remained, families would collect them and place them inside a stone box called an ossuary. This practice existed for only a narrow window in history, which is precisely what allows for such accurate dating. If you find an ossuary, you know it belongs to that exact period. But what makes this particular box so explosive isn't the stone itself, it's what's written on it. On the side is an inscription in Aramaic, the language spoken in Judea at the time. The phrase is simple yet devastating to skeptics. James, son of Joseph, brother of Jesus. Now, at first glance, you might think these are just common names. And you'd be right. James, Joseph, and Jesus were all common names in first-century Palestine. But here's where GROK's analysis gets interesting. Archaeologists have uncovered thousands of ossuaries. The standard formula was simple: the name of the deceased and the name of the father. That's it. Mentioning a brother in an inscription was extremely rare. Statistically, it only happened when that brother was an exceptionally important figure, someone who defined the family's identity